Make a video talking about money. I ain't making a video talking about them dollars in a minute. And I think this video is a golden nugget, so stay tuned to the end. So first off, I hear a lot of people nowadays, they say things like, I can't afford a house, or I can't afford this, or I can't afford that. Okay, I agree. A lot of people can't afford houses. Houses are very expensive. If I wanted to buy a house here in San Francisco, it would be around $1 million, right? And that's not even really for a house. That's more for like a condo. So that means I would have to put down $200,000 and I have to pay like $5,000 a month. Now, I could do this by myself or I could do this with someone else. But a lot of people nowadays, that's not their priority. A lot of people nowadays, we spend so much money on things that previous generations just never spent money on. So I look at my mom, okay, when my mom was growing up, and also when my dad was growing up, and what they spent money on just in their everyday life versus what I spend money on in my life, in my everyday life. And it's staggering, the differences in the things that I spend money on versus what my parents did. So for example, back in my parents' day, most people back then, you know, I'm talking 30, 40 years ago, people did not eat out as much as people do today. Today, it's so hard not to eat out. There's McDonald's everywhere. There's restaurants everywhere. Every time you open up your phone, there's ads showing you great food. When you watch TV shows, you know, people are eating food on there and you're just like, oh yeah, I think I want a Sprite because I see them drinking a Sprite in this TV show. The advertisement is crazy. 40 years ago, it wasn't like this. No, like it was definitely advertising. It was definitely Coca-Cola, but like people did not have cell phones. I mean, just think about cell phones today. 40 years ago, my parents did not have cell phones. Myself, I have $1,000 iPhone Pro. And then I have another iPhone, an older iPhone 12, right? I also have Meta Ray-Ban glasses. Not only one pair, I got 2 pair. Okay. These are things that are like expensive, but they're just a part of our everyday life. Like everyone has a cell phone. Not everyone has smart glasses, but I tell you, most people nowadays, what do we use? We use apps for convenience, right? DoorDash, Uber Eats. If you go to Chipotle, you can get a burrito for around $12, $13. At least a burrito I get, a rice bean burrito, okay, with lots of toppings, but no meat, no cheese. Basically the veggie burrito. Well, if I order the same burrito off of DoorDash or Uber Eats, the same burrito that costs $13 could easily cost $25 to have it delivered to me. And I know plenty of people every other day, they're ordering DoorDash. And if they're ordering DoorDash, they're paying a lot more money for the same food that if they would have went to the restaurant that they would have paid. You know, imagine paying $25 for a burrito when you could have went and got that burrito for $12 or $13. Or you could have made that burrito at home for about $2 or even less than $2. Back in my parents' days, 40 years ago, way more people ate at home. Like way more people ate at home. In modern day society, it's just common to eat out. Especially if you work all day and you're out all day. If you're in an office, maybe it's easy to pack a lunch. But if you're someone like on the go, you know, you're always driving, you're always in the car. Well, it's kind of hard not to eat out. When you get hungry, you get hungry. Other things that we just spend so much money on. So back in my parents' day, when people were coming up, people did not spend as much money on things like traveling and music festivals. Like I know a bunch of people, they spent a lot of money on music festivals. Things like Coachella, Burning Man. I mean, gosh, how much does it cost to go to Burning Man, yo? You know, it's like 2.5 weeks. So people usually take off work for like 3 weeks, sometimes a month. Then once you get there, you got to take off a month of work, so you're not making money from work. But then once you get there, you're spending thousands of dollars. And then people say, oh, I'm broke, I have no money. Also, the amount of people that go out all the time. So now in society, it's very common to go out. Like just living in San Francisco, I find myself going out all the time, right? Other day, a friend and I, we went out to this one bar and we got drinks, and it was right after happy hour, like 5 minutes after happy hour. 2 large Jack and Cokes, like 2 double Jack and Cokes. It was like $45. Okay. $45. for 2 drinks. Back in my parents' day, my parents were not going out as much as someone like me does, right? And this is how 40 years ago, this is how people were able to afford a house. Because they were not spending money like people spend money today. Another thing that people just waste money on is like the health and fitness world, right? I know people that have gym memberships that cost hundreds of dollars a month. I know people that go to workout classes and classes that cost $30, $40 for one class. I was talking to this one chick in the city, and oh my gosh, she would go to these classes in the marina, but she lived in Noe Valley, so she would Uber all the way from Noe Valley to take like a yoga class. And then she would Uber all the way back, right? And then the yoga class would cost like at least $30 or $35. But then she's probably spent another $30 on Uber just getting there, and then another $30 on Uber just getting back. Like, that's a lot of money, bro, just for like one class. Like, literally, how much money would you have to make to actually afford that? You would need to make what, like $100 an hour, right? Because you're literally spending, $35 for the class and then $60 to get there back and forth. Like, that's a lot of money. That adds up, y'all. Like, that really adds up. And I don't know, maybe that chick can afford it, but maybe she can't, Also, just living in the city, bro. It's so easy nowadays to just spend money. Like, it is so easy to spend money. Parking is way more expensive. Driving is way more expensive. Owning a car is so much more expensive. Gas prices, car registration. So I have this car, this Chevy Bolt. Okay, this car is 2 years old. My registration came around and it was like $550. And I'm like, wow, like that's a lot of money. Like that's a whole lot of money. But things just add up. Like things are really, really expensive. Health insurance has not went down. Going to the dentist, these hasn't got cheaper. Like these things have only gotten more and more expensive. And you would think over time some things would go down in price. I guess, when we think about clothes is one recent thing I can think of that's kind of went down in price quite a bit. But like cell phones have went up in price. I remember when the first iPhone came out, it was $500. And now if you want to get an iPhone, like a cheap iPhone, it's probably around $700, But once again, 40 years ago, my parents did not have cell phones. Okay? When you have the cell phone, you have the $1,000 phone, but then you also have the phone plan that you pay for too. So that could be another $100 a month, or that could be $50 a month. But that's a recurring cost that previous generations, they didn't have these recurring costs. Credit cards. Okay. When you have a credit card and you pay the interest on the credit card, that's a new added cost that did not exist 40 years ago. So as time goes on, things just become more and more and more expensive. And it's just crazy to see, like, if we, young people, and when I say young people, I'm talking about, my generation, like, 40s, 30s, we could actually afford a lot of things if we cut a lot of things out of our life. If we cut things out of our life, if we start cooking meals at home and taking a sandwich like my parents used to do 40 years ago, they would literally take a sandwich to work. They would make food. That can make a huge difference. You can save a lot of money. I remember when I was younger, I would always like have nuts in my backpack. Like I would always like go to the grocery store and get like a big bag of pistachios or almonds or walnuts, and then I would just put them in a Ziploc bag in my backpack and I would eat them throughout the day. And it was a great source of protein, and it's also something that doesn't go bad, right? Like if you have like a sandwich, like maybe you can't like, you need to refrigerate it or something, or you need a lunchbox or something, but like nuts, you can just throw them in a backpack and you can like leave them in the car on a hot day and you can still eat them. So that was one thing I would eat quite a bit that would save me from spending money. But like in my normal life, like I love to eat out. I eat out quite a bit, but that's also because I don't spend as much time at home. If I'd spent more time at home, I would probably cook a lot more. I would probably eat a lot more, and I would probably start to gain weight more. I don't know. I don't know if any of these are good things or bad things, but yeah, that's one thing I think I would do if I was at home more. And also, we spend so much money on apps. Okay. Another part of the cell phone and the cell phone plan, but we spend a lot of money on apps. Myself, I have a couple dating apps on my phone, and Some of them I don't pay for. Some of them randomly I'll pay for like once a month if there's a special. You know, if it's like $50 a month and they say, hey, we'll give you 1 month for $25. Sometimes I'll do that $25 offer and then I'll like cancel the, cancel it like right after so it won't rebill me for the next month. And then I'll just use a dating app. But like, yo, I'm literally using a dating app to meet people. And once again, 40 years ago, my parents did not pay money to use a dating app to meet people. But most people nowadays, a lot of people nowadays, young people, especially people living in the cities, a lot of people are using dating apps, you know? I don't know. Hopefully dating apps are sort of on their way out because I really don't like dating apps. Instead of strolling, looking at them on a screen and you really can't really get a good idea of the type of person that you're about to meet. Yeah, hopefully run clubs do better. Hopefully, meetups do better. Because like honestly, paying to meet someone on an app and then especially if you're a guy, you swipe. But then if you're a girl, it's the opposite. Like there's so many people in your messages and you're just like overwhelmed and it doesn't work good for the guy or the girl at the end of the day. Like dating apps are horrible and once again, it's something that we pay for. And it's not just apps, dating apps, it's all sorts of apps. I have apps on my phone for closed captioning that's $90 a year. But I use it because, I like the service and I like when I post, it gives me like all the tags and all the description and it does a great job. But that's one thing that my parents didn't buy. They didn't spend $90 a year on something that's going to improve your SEO for social media. Oh my gosh. And then when you talk about things like OF, dude, how much money people spend on that, right? Oh my gosh. How much money are some of these women making on these apps? Like, I think it's kind of great that, chicks can make money off of OF, I think it's great because it's different, it's a different revenue stream. Also, 40 years ago, you did not hear about women saving up money and going and getting a BBL. You did not hear about so much plastic surgery. Like, these are things that like, people 40 years ago would dream of. These are lifestyles that they would literally dream of, like going to get a massage once a month, going to get pedicures. Like I know women, man, they go get pedicures like twice a month, right? They go get massages and, you're basically living a rich life, but you're not like rich. You know what I mean? Like back in the day, like people that sat around and got like pedicures and massages and, just get your hair done and just had them rub your head for 30 minutes after you ain't got your hair done. You know what I mean? Like, man, that's like lifestyle of the rich and famous, Also going to places like Louis Vuitton and Gucci. I remember in the pandemic, I went to the Gucci store and I spent $900 on a pair of shoes. And I'm thinking to myself, that was like so stupid. Like that was so dumb. I can't believe I spent that much money on shoes. Like people that shop at the Gucci store should be like super rich people. It shouldn't be people like me. Like, come on. Like, it shouldn't be people like me going to the Gucci store. Like, come on. I don't make like, $2-3 million a year. Like, I freaking drive Uber and work for DoorDash. But once again, with social media, with the rise, it's like, oh, you can have this, you can have that, hip hop music, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, you listen to it all day. It's in your head, Are we really broke or do we just spend too much money on things that we don't need? Because of so much advertising that's constantly in our face because this influencer's got this and this influencer say, well, you need this. And this other influencer say, well, if you don't have this, well, you are not this over here, So it's a lot of peer pressure out there. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of things to get you to buy stuff. But anyway, I thought I would make a video just talking about this, just breaking it down because I think that a lot of people, they don't realize that at the end of the day, it really adds up. And if you're able to stack some of this money, you can do other things in life. You can afford other things. You can take trips. You can send your kids to college. You can go buy a new car. You can just do things different, instead of blowing money on this and blowing money on that. And, you got $150 phone bill and then you're paying $1,000 for the phone. And then you got all these recurring charges like subscriptions on the phone that's charging you another $200 a month. Like, wow, man, People are not as broke as they think they are. They just need to count them dollars. But anyway, we out. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching, and peace out, yo.